It's not just that you are conscious. It's more than that. You are consciousness. And consciousness is the only thing that exists. Notice that. Notice that there's nothing outside of consciousness. You have never experienced anything in your life outside of consciousness. Everything you've ever experienced was consciousness. Anything you think or claim isn't consciousness is consciousness. Just notice that. Try to invalidate what I'm saying. Don't just believe me. See, don't believe me. Oh yeah, Leo said that consciousness is all there is and that's it. And then you believe that. No. That's a mistake. You need to validate whether what I'm saying is true. You can sit there for 5 hours and go through examples. Go into the past and think about stuff that has happened to you in your life and try to come up with an example of something that wasn't consciousness. And what you'll notice, of course, is that you can't find such an example. And anything you think of, which you might think of, oh, I found one, Leo, I found one. Look a little bit deeper and you'll realize, oh, wait a minute. Of course, that was also consciousness. So this is something that you should practice for the rest of your life. This practice. See, nothing can exist unless it is held in your consciousness. This is the key mistake that people make. They think that stuff like atoms or objects or people can exist outside of consciousness. That math or science or religion or space or time or history or even the universe can exist outside of consciousness. It can't. Everything is held and conceived within consciousness. Even the hard stuff, even the physical stuff, even the quote-unquote objective stuff. The entire universe is just an infinite field of consciousness. That's all it is. And you are this field. For example, think of a refrigerator. Think of your refrigerator. It seems that a refrigerator exists. But this refrigerator is actually being held within your consciousness. It seems like the refrigerator, conventionally speaking, is made out of parts, plastic and metal, molecules, atoms, energy. No. The refrigerator is made out of consciousness. Universal consciousness, the field of universal consciousness, is imagining a refrigerator. That's literally what's happening right now as we're talking about this refrigerator. Now you might say, okay, Leo, yeah, I mean, that I might be able to see how that's true when I'm just thinking about my refrigerator, but what about the actual refrigerator? Like if I go to my kitchen and I put my hand on the refrigerator door to pull it open, it's made out of steel or whatever. What about that? I mean, that's not consciousness. Of course it is. What is that refrigerator actually made out of? It's made out of the perceptions and feelings which you call a refrigerator. Colors, sounds, smells, feelings. When you put your hand on the refrigerator, it might feel cold. The steel might feel cold. It has a certain color. It makes a certain hum noise. It has a certain smell coming out of it when you open the door. What is all this? This is figments of consciousness coming together in a very sophisticated, highly intelligent, highly ordered way to create the appearance of a refrigerator. Now you might say, well, what about the actual refrigerator underneath the appearances? What? What actual refrigerator underneath the appearances? Where have you ever experienced anything underneath appearances? Why do you assume there is anything underneath appearances? Why would such an inefficient mechanism be necessary for the universe? Why would the universe have two layers of reality? Why would it have the appearance layer and then the whatever is underneath layer that you imagine? Why does it need the second layer? Why can't it just be one layer? I mean, why would it waste its energy creating these different layers? For what purpose? Now you say, Leo, but where would these appearances come from if they weren't coming from something sourcing them from behind the scenes, from underneath? You see, we need that second layer to explain the first layer. But what explains the existence of the second layer? If the first layer requires a second layer, why are you stopping at the second layer? Why isn't there a third layer? And then, of course, you need a fourth layer using your logic to explain the second. And you need a third to explain the second. You need a fourth to explain the third, and so on to infinity. And so you see the absurdity of this whole notion. You're not solving anything. You think that you're solving some sort of metaphysical problem of explaining away appearances by postulating hidden layers beneath the first layer. But actually, all you're doing is you're just fooling yourself. You're losing yourself inside your own mind. And all of those layers that you imagine are precisely that, imagination. There are no other layers. All of those layers, if you take a close look, are just imaginary. It's all one layer. So within the layer of appearances, there are additional pseudo layers that you imagine that you think are underneath the first layer, but really they're just couched within the first layer. There is no refrigerator outside of consciousness. The actual physical refrigerator in your kitchen is actually held within your consciousness. That's what it means for a thing to exist. See, you thought your whole life, you've been told by others who didn't know any better, that to exist means for there to be something on a deeper layer, on a secondary layer, beneath the layer of appearances. And it's only if something exists at that second layer, then it exists. Otherwise, if it only exists at the first layer, then it doesn't exist. It's sort of an illusion. But when you realize there is no deeper layer, there's only one layer to reality, the layer of appearances, that literally is what existence is. To appear is to exist, is to be conscious. And that's it. It's actually very simple. You're making it too complicated.